Cybersecurity started in college. I focused on network security and cryptology. I found those topics as a comp sci major very, very interesting. Some classmates of mine, they enjoyed the software engineering. Others enjoyed database design, OS design. But I just gravitated towards, the cybersecurity aspect. Being able to protect data with a mathematical formula and to keep it secure. I always found that very, very interesting. So from there, I graduated college, and then I started working for a contracting house for the U.S. Army. And then so throughout, about 9, 10 years of working at the Army, I uh, got hired and switched to a position at the former government arm of Bell Labs, where I continued my cybersecurity in just a different manner, right? One from hardened security devices to network security and design, right? Whether it's in a mobile application or a fiber optic line application, that was the network security. Eventually, you say I had enough of one type of sector of work, and I was lucky enough to say, uh, get my position at New York Life, which is more on the business roles and how security reacts. So now my position is more on the government governance, risk, and compliance aspect of cybersecurity, and handling third-party risk. How you know how the partners you deal with handle cybersecurity is greatly affecting the posture of how New York Life handles cybersecurity. So it's been quite a long journey, almost 20 years, and I got to touch a lot of many different aspects of cybersecurity, and I'm very fortunate for it. So that's about the current state of it, but that doesn't mean I am satisfied and I don't want to stop growing. Um, Hopefully later on I can continue and grow my position or grow into other roles, to become your principal security architect, to become the chief information security officer. I think many cybersecurity professionals aim to climb all the way to the top where you are the sole responsibility and guiding force to cybersecurity for a organization. Hopefully I can reach that by the time I retire, but we'll see. Only time will tell. So I've known CEH for a very, very long time. Probably 15 years ago, uh, there were coworkers that kind of two different tracks, right? My coworkers either gathered and went down the CISSP route. Others were down the CEH path. I have very good friends that became, penetration testers and um, vulnerability researchers. And on the other aspect, you have the more organizational level of cybersecurity. So I just didn't have had time at that specific moment. Am I getting my CISSP or am I getting my CEH? So when I finally got to New York Life, I had the opportunity to, go down the path of officially getting my CEH, and I'm very fortunate that New York Life helped me to go through that process. You know, uh, it's hard to say that CEH, just because I have CEH, I don't know how to do pen testing. It's just you pick up the skills as you learn multiple things. But to get the CEH, I think is to say that I have a baseline skills to do pen testing. is very important. So, if I didn't do pen testing in my specific position, how else will an employer know I have hacking capabilities? Even though it may not be, your best of the leading hackers in the world, but at least you have that knowledge and you have that capability to apply towards your position. So, with any cybersecurity certification or degree, I think it speaks volumes to say that you're able to do whatever cybersecurity certification says you can do. CEH says you should have some fundamental knowledge of pen testing, um, whether it's on the threat modeling side, whether it's on the technical, exploiting a vulnerability, or even the mindset of how does a hacker want to attack a organization. That's very important. Outside of that, how else will a potential employer know uh, that you know this information, right? If you haven't done it before in a previous position, if you do not have a degree that highlights those programs, how else will an employer know? And so, how it has benefited me is that when a recruiter or company comes in and says, well, what do you know? They have more confidence when I approach them and say, I have pen testing capabilities. I know my way around on how to attack a network. So how else will a company know what are you capable of? So having CEH, and when I say a company asks, do you have pen testing capabilities? I can say yes. And they look at CEH and they say, okay, well, he has some baseline knowledge. Let me ask if he has or she has that information that is very, very specific to my need at a company. And so when I get approached and talk with recruiters and hiring managers, I can really say, I know my pen testing. I know the basics. Am I the greatest? Am I the best? Of course not. All right. I don't do that as my normal day-to-day business. Right. Um, but I know the basics. I know how to get to the answer. And I think that is the benefit of having the CEH. I don't need to justify with 10 minutes of saying, this is what I know in pen testing and how to do it. They know I know the basics. They know I can do certain things just by having the certification. I think CEH is recognized across the board. If you were to go back to my time at the Army, it was widely recognized. If you didn't have the CH, you're not working on the vulnerability research portion of the team. Um, you fast forward it into the private sector and the finance sector. They're looking for a recognized certification to discuss and talk about penetration testing. So I think it is widely recognized globally, and a matter of uh, what they are looking for, then turns into specific applications or specific frameworks that someone with a CEH might not necessarily have, but they have the foundation and the understanding to learn said frameworks. So I think any organization that is intelligent enough to, put security as a primary critical function, they would understand CEH is very important. So I am still working at it. My current company, in my current role, paid for the CEH certification. Um, However, in terms of offers for recruitment, I've been exposed to a lot more and varied potential opportunities. So it hasn't improved anything yet in terms of promotion or pay for me right now, but hopefully that in turn will then translate into a more desirable position, higher up the food chain because of CEH, right? So now I'm not only getting a security analyst position, but now I'm being approached with higher and more different varied type of security positions than previously. With any certification, I think just like CEH, CISSP, your CompTIA levels, your SANS, whatever it may be, the certification is an achievement in itself, right? You pass it, you're now recognized that you know this information. I have coworkers that have worked in the industry for 20 plus years, and they're a wealth of knowledge. But from the get-go, you won't know what they know unless you ask them specifically. So having that certification kind of is an indicator, right? So I have the CEH now, someone approaching me in a discussion and seeing in my titles and certifications that I have, they're not going to second guess me in terms of pen testing, at least on the basic level, right? We might get into a very, very in-depth technical discussion. Maybe we're talking about a specific CVE and vulnerability and exploitability, but they're not going to discount my knowledge or my comments from the get-go saying, oh, well, you don't know anything about pen testing and vulnerabilities. You're just reading off a CVE that was published from MITRE or NIST, right? So with a CEH, you get some recognition from the outside, but I think the most important is the personal impact of saying, I know some information that I worked hard to get. And I think that is the most valuable part of being able to pass any certification, let alone just CEH. So at the moment, I think I've taken a survey. I was requested to perform this interview. Hopefully my interview gives inspiration or hope to potential candidates, people wanting to go back into the community. I think also as part of it, I do mentorship, and having that CEH, a few of my mentees have asked, what about pen testing? Well, the mentees before I had my CEH, pen testing came up very, very further into our conversation, right? But the mentee recently, he came up and says, well, I'm thinking about pen testing. What do you know about it? I see you have a CEH. What can you tell me about it? That's very important because cybersecurity is a very large field. You don't know what you don't know, and just because the person you're looking up to or you're guiding you has been a SOC analyst for the past 15 years doesn't mean that being a SOC analyst is the only way to do cybersecurity. It doesn't mean that you need to have an IT background, work at a IT support level for 5 years before you get you dive into cybersecurity. So I think that is the most contribution, is that when someone asks more questions to me about what can I do at cybersecurity, is the most impactful part of contributing back to the community. Because at the end of the day, you don't have to be a pen tester. You don't have to be a GRC specialist. You don't have to be a CISO. But finding your way and how you want to proceed through the cybersecurity field, you need to be well equipped with the proper questions to ask of the people that have been in those positions or are looking at those positions, so that you can make the best choice for you as an individual. Okay, so I think the most favorite part about the CEH program was the hands-on part of creating an exploit, right? Or I should say, infiltrating a system, right? The recon is also fun, right? Learning how to use Nmap, figuring out, what should I be exploiting is very, very important. But the success level, just like you writing your first application, I think is very, very important. That, oh, I broke into this system and this is how I did it. You could be the best programmer and you could program many things. You could be the best hacker and hack many things. But that first achievement of getting into your system, I think is very, very important, because you've done something from start to finish, and then you can bookend it and you can mark it that was an accomplishment. It was in a school setting, it was in a class setting, that's one thing, but to be able to do that is already 50% of the way there. And then now, once you finish your CEH and then you start applying it to work, you can then go from there and say, hey, I broke into this system using a SQL injection, or I got some information using SQL injection. Well, let me try that when I'm testing an application that I have to monitor and oversee as part of our security regression testing, right? So at the end of the day, you have accomplished something, you've done something, and then now it's up to you, once you complete your CEH, to apply it in your work and in your future job. So I think, if anything, because I would say I'm a little bit late in the career, or to get my CEH, it was a driving goal. When I had enough time, when I had the availability, I'm going to go for the CEH exam, right? I'm going to get my certification. I think that was a highlighting goal that I wanted to accomplish before my career was ending. So that is, having that motivation, having a goal for your career is very, very important. And the other part, I think, really for the EC Council is a lot of times these certifications seems an insurmountable hurdle, a great achievement, a great hurdle to come over. And I don't think so. I think with any certification, you need a lot of just time and dedication, and to be able to box that and deliver it to a potential candidate. A SOC analyst can probably pass the CEH with, some level of class. A newly grad student with a comp sci degree probably would need more education than that SOC analyst. But to say how much dedication I need to just achieve this basic level, the CEH is at the basic, or at least I put it at the basic level, the beginning, the start. That is just something that I think more people will get these certifications if they understand, how much time investment do I need to put into this? How scary is this exam? I didn't think the exam was that scary. Once I took it and went through it, it was just a matter of me making sure I was well prepared and well prepped with the knowledge that I went through in the class. So the dedication and the time needed, I think, is just something that scares a lot of people. Probably I should have taken CEH maybe 5-10 years ago. It's just that something that, well, I don't think I'm ready for, or I don't think I'm at that level yet. And I think I could have gotten the CEH a lot sooner than what I did right now. So maybe it's just one of those that, maybe you should go for it a little sooner, so that you can go on and learn the more advanced and the more technical details of beyond CEH.